People who like having conversations with random people, why? Some people just have really neat life stories. I kind of wish there was a sub where you could just write about your life experiences. So many people have just experienced wild or heartbreaking or inspiring things. It's just neat to read about. Edit. Hey yo, I didn't expect there to be so much interest in something like this. It seems like people are going to breathe life back into r/life_stories, so I'd keep an eye on it. When going to grocery stores, I've tried several lines to help start a conversation with the cashier. Being a cashier many years ago, I always appreciated sincere souls who tried to make my day better. The line that's yielded the most success for me is, "How's your day been?" I've learned of one fellow's theater aspirations, another's day-related accident the night before, an older gent's theories of current events, and other interesting stories. My favorite happened recently when the cashier said he was tired because he was up late. I asked if he was a gamer, then learned he plays the same video game I do, and a lovely nerd-out session. I sat with my grandmother, b. 1900. For years listening about her stories from the old country, Russia. Eventually we got it all written down and my brother put it together in book form and shared it with our family. To me, this is important stuff. She once told me about how the last Tsar and his family walked by her house sadly to their eventual execution. She also commented on how lucky we have it now with birth control. She died at 98, outliving 8 of her 9 kids. I still miss her every day. I went to a nature center once, and one of the workers came up to my group and started having a lengthy conversation about his life, background, education, family. Completely unprompted, like, extremely detailed. He kept following us around the center after that. I was a bit weirded out, but I figured he just enjoyed what he did, being around people, and educating them, so I just went along with it. In my life there are 2 situations that stand out, one about 6 months ago where this woman told me a joke she just thought of. I don't remember the joke but her laugh and joy at telling it were awesome. The other one is from around 1997. I was going into the Indio fashion mall and a woman on her way out stopped me to tell me that her grandson just took his first steps that morning. Being able to share in someone's joy is special, the way I approach it. If people randomly share joy with me, then I'm likely in a good place mentally to be able to receive such joy. In my job I do this 30-50 times a day. I work with the public in a fairly relaxed setting and some days can't believe I'm getting paid to chat with people pleasantly all day. Although my company does provide a valuable service, just through casual conversation during the transaction, I learn interesting things every day. Somehow after over 35 years in the workforce I've landed on the perfect job for my skill set as a people-loving introvert. I am quite literally incapable of having a relaxing, spontaneous conversation with a stranger. Edit. I can tell that I wasn't clear in my initial phrasing. I can have a spontaneous conversation with a stranger. I'm actually quite good at conversating. I think I'm a good listener and an interesting person. What I cannot do is relax during that conversation. Anxiety is a bitch. And if any of the people offering advice are pointing out that this is a conversation with strangers had read my comment closely enough to realize that I never said I was incapable of spontaneous conversations with strangers. Those spontaneous conversations with strangers wouldn't be so goddamn stressful. It was like that with landline telephones and radios which were plugged into a wall. The big change came with the smartphones. I've had some really interesting conversations with people, some shocking even. Anyway, it's intriguing, and I learn things. Like when this stranger who said that he went to a Catholic schools and the nuns were so strict about sex that he had not had an orgasm in the last 25 years. And then he burst into tears. Everyone in the car repair waiting room was gradually listening in on our conversation as he got more and more agitated. Better than web surfing was in maybe 1978 or so. I remember standing on a chair to access the wooden telephone box which housed a party line. An operator had to ring the number you were calling. Even after dialed telephones with a single handset were invented, you had to call the operator to place a long-distance call. Radios, BTW. And these vacuum tubes that lit up when the set was on. We listened to radio programs at night. Jack Benny and the Shadow Knows were two that I remember, as well as all the soap operas during the day. I remember when my neighbor needed to borrow a shovel or something, I would just go leave it on their front porch. It would reappear on my porch a couple days later. Didn't even need to call the landline. No live update on my shovel. I had to knock on my friend's door to see if they were home. That's another thing. There were plenty of reasons not to answer the phone even if you were home, so you had to go in person sometimes. Talking to a stranger will get you an objective opinion. Sometimes that's not as good, because if they don't know you and your motivation, they can't judge your actions properly. But in many cases, I'd rather hear the hard, unfiltered truth. Well, that was stupid, than a sweet lie that might make me hopelessly hope for something. Oh, I'm sure it wasn't that bad. You're overthinking it, you'll make it for sure. 2 big reasons. First, I feel it enriches my life when I interact with fellow humans. Second, there's a super good chance that I can learn something from them. And I like learning stuff. There's other reasons too, like in some cases other people enjoy random chat as well, and I appear to be fairly decent at small talk that's inoffensive and doesn't drive people's anxieties. Also, it kills time. So, yeah, if I sense it starts making people uncomfortable, I stop. But my own experience has shown me that harmless trading of a few words rewards me more than just standing there silently. Here's the thing. I don't have a go-to. I just try stuff that isn't a taboo topic. Sometimes it comes from my knowledge, usually very limited, or guesses of what their job is like today. That's a good price on steaks. I bet you're busy with a lot of long weekender campers picking them up. Huh? Or something they're wearing is a fashion choice. Got a big grin out of mentioning how cool the cashier's fingernails were last week. Carefully painted with edges but not overstated. Her smile made my day. Probably more than my comment made hers. Or, store looks busy today. Or, first time I bought this vegetable. I hope I can figure out what to do with it, or yay. Exact change. Oh wait, I pay with a credit card, and then actually listen to and pay attention to their answer. I start with whatever comes to mind. You're making conversation, not negotiating a peace treaty. And if it sounds goofy, so what? At least you tried, and maybe the next time it won't sound goofy. Being a bartender, I often found myself having amazing conversations over the most disparate topics with guests at bar, usually the ones who don't get too smashed. From personal experience to recommendations of places, drinks to history, video games, etc. I like it because I don't have to be careful with what I say. It's just me serving you drinks, and sharing our opinions, without a right or wrong. I don't have to please anybody, and there are no limitations to what we can say, given that we keep the terms civil and respectful. It's also something I mostly do at work. I rarely engage conversations with strangers if I don't have to. Must still. I find amusing how much people share after one glass of wine and a friendly smile, and is possibly my favorite part of the job. I wouldn't describe myself as a very talkative person, and I rarely initiate conversations, but I still think there is something special about talking to strangers. When I sometimes actually do it, just suddenly feeling connected to a person you have never met and will probably never meet again is somehow really fascinating. Not only to feel connected to that person, but to everybody. I sometimes tend to forget that, in a way, we are all in the same boat. I also find it kind of heartwarming to see how in certain situations, especially in emergencies, people that have never met each other instinctively work together to overcome an issue, or to help random strangers. And even if you're not making friends, it can be really nice just to talk to people and be kind. I'm on the mild end of the autism spectrum, and I used to be really socially awkward, but college made me want to force myself out of my comfort zone and get better at interacting with people, and it turns out, with work and practice at it, it's not really as hard as I used to think it was. I might still be more of an introvert and need to recharge or decompress after big social things, but I do like interacting with people, and you get to learn all sorts of interesting things about people or even the area, just by shooting the shit with random people. Like, I make an effort at work to always be really cheerful and friendly, and just say hi and ask how people's days are going, and I've gotten to find out all sorts of neat places to go check out to eat, or maybe an interesting show or movie, or event, or whatever. It's rather nice. I was wondering why women did this to me in clubs. According to my friends, it's 'cause they're into me, and I, being oblivious, don't notice, though as dumb as I am. I somehow doubt this is the case for every stranger interaction I have. Beyond that, I don't know. Catches me off guard and I just try to get through the interaction without being too awkward. Normally it takes me a moment or two to catch up on what they are talking about and what I should say in response. Though I did see a bench earlier today where it said people who want to be talked to should sit on such. More things like that would be useful in broader society. I am not supposed to say this, and I now have 15 minutes before they come after me. But the reason we all go talk to you is because you are in a simulation. You are watched by billions of people worldwide, and since birth, you have been raised in a control simulation in which we are all a part of your life. We watch you, making sure you never escape the simulation. We follow the script in which ensures that your life goes as planned. They are here. I hear them now. There is no time. Run. Honestly, unless you have something to say, or it's funny, I absolutely hate when some random person just starts talking to you. I'd quit. It is about me, but I always, fucking always, have homeless, absolutely shit-faced people try to have conversations with me. I was at Pizza Hut the other day picking up food for literally a minute, and some dude was standing there red-eyes drunk half. The dude started talking to me and laughing about how kids say the truth and his kids say he stank but he had to get food. I'm okay, I just laughed. Lol, what was I supposed to respond to that? Got my food and left. Then a month ago at the desk, and see some dude was trashed and kept saying incoherent shit, kept tapping my shoulder when he laughed like we were buddies and trying to talk to me. I'd do the old yeah throw in I feel you. I'd quit. It is, but randoms always try to talk to me, like I'm an introvert and I hate small talk. I don't even make eye contact most of the time, minding my own business, and don't say things and listen most of the time. I have a few close friends, but I'm very talkative when I have things to say. I just don't get the whole random people talking to me thing. I don't hardly ever, even when intoxicated, start conversations with randoms. Maybe I'll say something about the weather or compliment someone to be nice or something, but I don't start full-fledged conversations with randoms. It's okay if the person has stuff to say, or aren't completely intoxicated, but it seems to be I'm the guy always picked out of the crowd to talk to even if others are around. And I get the vibe someone has a serious mental illness when they just chat up strangers and force people into unwanted convos. I look at every person I run into as their own universe that I can learn from and live within, and carry on their knowledge everywhere I go, and every person you meet and talk to gives you another puzzle piece on the always expanding perspective on life. A lot of us wish to meet aliens but have barely talked to our neighbors or smile at strangers as we go about our day. I feel it's important now more than ever to hear people out and have in-life conversations on the past and the future, to learn the full spectrum of existence more so than through our phones.